The top 10 most terrifying mythological creatures. Human beings, no matter from which generation and what heritage, have always sensed the urgency to explicate their surroundings. In the end, the most predominant fear is the fear of the unknown. Before the existence of science and technology, inherited stories and mythical creatures were the ones that most explained our reality in this world. Before we go any further, please like and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new excellent updates only us can provide. Without turning this into a movie, here are the top 10 most terrifying mythological creatures that will make you realize that these things weren't just made-up stories. Wendigo. In 1661, a particular group of Jesuit missionaries traveled to the domain of the Algonquins, a Native American clan that took residency beside the forest locales of the Ottawa region. Before they, the missionaries, went to this land, there were actually a first group of Jesuit missionaries that had been there but had fallen strangely ill. The Jesuits coming to the substitute and assist their fellow missionaries had received the news that things had gone wrong at the mission. But what they discovered when they landed there was more horrid than their nightmares. And as they wrote, those poor men were seized with an ailment that makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men like veritable werewolves and devour them voraciously without being able to appease or glut their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily the more they eat. Wendigos were portrayed to be man-eating freaks that moved about from place to place near the Great Lakes. Their physiques were skeletal, their ribs stuck out through their lean, bloodless skin, and their eyes were deeply descended into their sockets. They seemed like humans who had succumbed to death due to starvation, wandering around the world after days of rotting in the grave. Its appetite couldn't be fulfilled by any flesh. Every bite would just make them hungrier and hungrier, until they turned into immense, flesh-eating Goliaths towering over the tree. Werewolf. Some legendary stories managed to stagnate that werewolves shapeshifted will because of a curse. Almost half of them say that they metamorphosized with the assistance of an enhanced sash or a veil made out of wolf pelt. Still, the other half of them state that human beings turned into wolves are being bitten or even scratched by a werewolf. In most stories, a person becomes a wolf when there's the existence of a full moon. Werewolves are oftentimes considered as lycanthropes, which originated from ancient Greek wording. It's stated to have made out in the 5th century BC. Werewolves, as a legendary notion, became renowned throughout Europe. Most countries on the continent had some experiences or stories about the monster at some extent in their lives. They are tackled to have extraordinary healing that makes them protected from a regular weapon. But all credits to the beast of Gevaudan. A silver object is expected to inflict them a serious pain. QALUPALIK. The indigenous youths of the Arctic knew to stay away from the water's edge because there, beneath the frozen surface, QALUPALIK lay waiting for them. The first thing they were informed they would sense when such creatures were lurking around would be the haunting, lonesome hum of its song underneath the sea. But if the said monster was too hopped up to accommodate itself, then it would gracefully tap its fingers on the ice under their feet. This kind of creature could be spotted only for as fast as the blink of an eye before it vanishes. It would leapfrog from underneath its elongated, claw-like fingernails, and it would supposedly sink into its prey's tissue and pull them forward. Its prey would have a chance to glance at its despicable nature, which was somewhat like a green, decomposing woman. Minotaur. The Minotaur, according to legends of Greece, was the agnostic descendant of the Queen Crete and a bull. The unusual creature's name was Asterion, but he was forbidden to have a normal life due to the fact that King Minos of Crete was remorseful about his wife's shameful doing. He also feared the violence that the creature had inherited from the bull, so it was locked up in a labyrinth to survive from the wrath of humanity. The mythical creature wasn't just a myth. According to a Greek biographer, this narrative just like the rest of mythological stories, had its origin in the annals of Homo sapiens. Basilisk. The basilisk was a mythical monster so toxic that even its gaze could lead someone so suddenly to his or her demise. Even if you waited till it departed, it left a trail of toxicity everywhere it stepped. No one could have a chance to put an end to its wickedness. If they sunk sharp objects into its flesh, the poison would just drip down to the object and end the life of someone who got the audacity to face this monster. It may have been a true animal or a more emphasized version of one. Libya has cobras which can produce potent poison that could kill its victim in short distance, and it's probable that their dangerous spit stories were excessively overstated until it was rumored that they could kill with a glance. According to the doctor who saw it, he said, "It really was a basilisk. It had the head of a cock, the eyes of a toad, a crest like a crown, a warty and scaly skin covered all over with the hue of venomous animals, and a curved tail over behind its body." Neon. There was no scarier in the villages of ancient China than that the day once a year when the weird-looking creature would come out of its house to hunt some people. It was inevitable and immortal. No weapons would defeat or make a single scratch on its body, and no amount of time would make it depart. In ancient times, all the Chinese people could do was shut down their windows, close their passageways, hide under their beds, and pray it left them all quiet and well. They would have to glance from their hiding spots while the monster wandered around for their dear lives. Its head had a resemblance of a lion, and its teeth were as sharp as razors. It was gigantic, bigger than any other animals or creature in this world. After centuries, one man revealed that he was a god in disguise. He said, "You can't kill the demon Neon, but you can keep him at bay. The beast is easily scared. He does not like the color red. He fears loud noises and strange creatures. So tonight, spread red across the village. Hang red signs on every door. Make loud noises with drums, music, and fireworks. And give your children face masks and lanterns to protect them." Today, Chinese people often use fireworks, bang drums, and fill their cities with red signs every spring festival. Legend says that it's this gathering that makes the monstrous creature away from destructing homes. If ever the celebration stops or comes to an end forever, then the Neon will return. Mermaids. Look at that stuff. Isn't it neat? Would you think my collection's complete? Guess whose song was this? Yes, it's from that animated film, The Little Mermaid. But the Disney movie was obviously just a tale as it's a cartoon. How about we delve into its nature? It's evident that our world is composed of different bodies of water. It's quite fascinating that, centuries ago, the oceans were rumored to hide eccentric and peculiar creatures, from sea serpents to mermaids or mermen. Mermaids and mermen are the oceanic version of Homo sapiens. The only difference between the two species is that mermaids had tails like fishes. What's scarier was that they had the ability to summon storms to eventually sink ships and drown sailors. So, if you decided to have an expedition one day, be sure to bring some weapons as they're quite hard to deal with. Cerberus. Cerberus, aka the watchdog of Hades, was the multi-headed dog who stood as the victorious guard of the underworld, separating the dead from the living ones and assuring that those souls whose doom were truly in the underworld never left. An offspring of Echidna and Typhon, he came from a family of monsters which included Lernian Hydra, Orthus, and Chimera. He was someone or something that was hard to oppose with, but only 3 visitors of Hades deceived him. Heracles did it with his unusual strength, Orpheus with his melody, and the Sibyl of Cumae with a honey cake. Dullāhan. When you got time to visit Ireland, you might probably encounter a headless man riding a horse. Don't worry, it just means that it's your last day there. This Irish surrounds a man without a head. Dullāhan is a headless horseman who strolls around a certain spot non-stop. But when he does stop, It signifies somebody will eventually succumb to death soon. The death is quick, as it occurs as soon as the headless man mentions the individual's name. This one was inevitable and hard to deal with as well. Nobody and nothing can stop this savage creature from killing the innocent. What will you do if you see him? How will you handle such an incident? Naxierer. Have you seen the movie Twilight? Well, Edward Collins is kind of a hot and sensitive vampire there, but in reality, it's too far from different. Vampires played a significant role in the annals of mythology since the earliest of time. And this creature, the Naxierer, is just one example. Aside from the fact that this vamp is certainly a blood-sucking devil, it's also one of a kind that ascends from the tombs to hunt family members. It just rings church bells and instantly murders each person that hears them. Indeed, the creature is not alike to Edward or Bella. So now that you've already know the top 10 most terrifying creatures, have you thought that indeed they're outstandingly frightening? If so, what would you do if you encounter one? Share your thoughts down below. If you're a true top 10 lover, stay tuned as the next top 10 video is starting, or simply watch this video next. Don't forget to hit the like button below and click subscribe for more amazing videos.